Professor Emerita of Microbiology in the College of Medicine and Life Sciences at the University of Toledo. This webinar is being hosted by our College of Medicine and Life Sciences alumni affiliate and our University of Toledo Retirees Association affiliate. The webinar, entitled Transformation into Retirement, Your Next New Chapter, will help you with the anxiety and stress that are typically associated with the transition to retirement. The presenters will explore how to maintain physical and emotional health, identify purpose, and to seek your joy. As a reminder, all viewers have been muted, and today's webinar is being recorded. If you would like to ask questions, please use the chat box. It is my pleasure now to introduce our presenters. Dr. Kathleen Franco Bronson received her medical degree and completed residency training and a fellowship at the former Medical College of Ohio, now the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences. She is an emeritus professor of medicine and psychiatry at Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland Clinic, and the immediate past associate dean of admissions and student affairs at the Cleveland Clinic Learning College of Medicine. Dr. Franco Bronson is a life member of our Alumni Association. Dr. Ronald McGinnis also received his medical degree and completed residency training at the Medical College of Ohio, now the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences. He is an emeritus associate professor of psychiatry and past senior associate dean of admissions and student affairs at the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences. Dr. McGinnis is also a life member of our Alumni Association. Dr. Mary Jo Tamburino received her medical degree at the Medical College of Ohio, now the University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences. She is an emeritus of psychiatry and head of the Department of Psychiatry at the now University of Toledo College of Medicine and Life Sciences. Dr. Tamburino also is a life member of our Alumni Association. Dr. David Bronson received his medical degree from the University of Vermont College of Medicine and completed his residency training at the University of Wisconsin and the University of Vermont. He is the immediate past chairman of the Board of Commissioners of the Joint Commission and a member of the emeritus staff at the Cleveland Clinic, where his last positions held were president and CEO of Cleveland Clinic Regional Hospitals and Family Health Centers, senior public policy advisor, and professor of medicine at the Lerner College of Medicine of Case Western Reserve University. I now turn this to the presenters.
Welcome. We are delighted you chose to join us today. The four of us are long-standing friends, having a friendship that's lasted more than 33 years. Kathy and I are married, and as are Ron and Mary Jo. We're all academic physicians, emeritus professors, and former executives and deans of our respective healthcare systems. We've all retired in the last few years. We began this journey when Kathy performed some background research in preparation for mentoring new retirees from the Cleveland Clinic. From this effort, we volunteered to share our findings and experiences with you. Our conclusions are that retirement can and should be the ultimate graduation, allowing you time and opportunity to pursue your dreams. Engagement in life is a defining factor of retirement bliss. But to get there, you need to be prepared physically, emotionally, intellectually, and financially. We'll describe some background, share our experiences, and add our advice for achieving a successful retirement. As we are not financial planners or advisors, we will leave in-depth discussion of financing retirement to the experts. For the record, we have no conflicts or duality of interest. We still have high hopes that someone will want to pay us for this. Let's get started. The objectives of our presentation are to highlight factors that define a successful retirement, outline some options that add meaning to retired life, review the essential rules of exercise, emotional health, and gratitude in achieving a successful retirement, and encourage participants to look beyond financial planning and preparing for retirement. Retirement is a blank sheet of paper. It is a chance to redesign your life into something new and different. And I think we really believe that. Think of all the challenges and changes in your life and the challenges that accompany them. Why should retirement be any different? Graduation, getting married, moving to your first home, starting a family. This is just another step in life. I will mention something about financial considerations. You need to understand your retirement income expenses, evaluate health care plans, and make sure you're well covered. Consider long-term care. 60% of us will need it. But work with a financial planner or advisor to assure a financially prudent plan. But really, the importance of planning for retirement is more than financial. Planning to address the non-financial dimension of retirement is essential. Those who transition well experience improvement in health and well-being. Those who build good support systems, engaged in physical activity, work part-time or volunteer, transition well and count the stage as exciting. A little brief history. Retirement as a concept hardly existed prior to the 20th century. A study of college graduates in 1910, of those over the age of 65, only 1% were considered retired. But things have changed. Factors involving development to today's retirement are multiple. The move from the agrarian economy to the industrial and now post-industrial society. Increased lifespan is a big deal. When Social Security was first put in place in 1935, life expectancy was 68 years. If you retire at 65, you have 3 years of support. Increased personal incomes have occurred, both Social Security, as I mentioned, Medicare in 1965, and the growth of employer-sponsored pension plans, and their subsequent decline in replacement with other savings plans. We are workaholics as Americans. The average number of vacation days per year by country is displayed in this graph, and the United States is 11 vacation days per year compared to most of Europe and other countries that are in the 25 to 30 day range. So we're not used to having free time. But retirement is a happy time. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun do you have in this stage of your life? This is a survey taken by Merrill Lynch. And as you can see, the happiness quotient goes up after age 55. And at 65, it's the highest it could be. At 75, it's close. And so most people enjoy retirement. I'd like to ask Drs. Tamburino and McGinnis to share a bit of reflection on retirement and aging.
Thank you, David. So Sophia Loren was someone who also felt very happy about aging. She said there's a fountain of youth. It is your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life, and the lives of people you love. When you learn to tap this source, you will truly have defeated age. What I would like to share now is my own transformation with retirement, which was a process. So I had been very, very busy as a physician, chair of the department. It seemed there was really no time to think about retirement ahead of time. So I figured once I retired, I would slowly start building my wonderful retirement life. I'd put good things in it, some service things, a lot of fun, family, friends, a little bit of teaching. Okay, so that was the plan. The first day I woke up retired, I looked at my calendar and it was blank. Every single day was blank for the rest of the month. I felt like I was falling over a cliff. So I started to really miss work. I started to miss my colleagues and friends from there. I started wondering how the patients were doing. So after a couple of weeks, I thought, I better just jump in somewhere. And I remembered that retirees are supposed to work on their closets. So I went into the closet, started working, and then something very wonderful happened. I stumbled onto my diaries from high school, and I started reading those. It's sort of like Chevy Chase and Lampoon Christmas, where he's, going through all those memories. But what happened is I realized that my life as a high school student was completely full. It was so full of everything: friends, family, love. And the passions and interests that I seemed to have then were the same that I pretty much have today. So what that really did for me is realize that I've refound my identity. And it was a visceral realization that being a physician was just something that I did on top of the person that I was. And that was very helpful to me in order to be able to move on. The other entry in the diary that was enlightening to me was on one page, I was talking about going to the lake swimming with, and in those days, you may remember you had to take a break from swimming. You had to have a rest period. And I said, oh, I love during the rest breaks when I look at the other blankets with their families. And I start wondering, what are they doing with their families? Are they having fun? Are they happy together? And I just laughed aloud because I realized then that before I even knew what a psychiatrist was, I apparently wanted to be one. So then the feelings of loss of career and sadness just disappeared, and it was replaced with a very real gratitude. You know, how grateful that I got to do what I wanted for 40 years. And now it's okay to do something else. And then the last thing that helped me was one of my tools from daily work. I thought, well, how did I start out every day at work? With that darn to-do list. And so I decided I wasn't going to build up to 60 things a day and overwhelm myself like I used to. So now I usually have maybe about 5 things. It just puts a little structure to the day and gets me going. And so I know each of you will have your own unique path, and it will be exciting, and I wish you good in this as we go on.
So I have a couple of little thoughts on retirement, reflecting on it, and 2 things that helped me with the decision and feeling okay about the decision. One was an idea of there being a symmetry in life, that you have these years before you work. I thought that about being 15 years for me, 1 through 15. And what did I do in those years? Well, I learned and I had fun. I played a lot. And then I worked a lot. I had some play in there and had some fun, but mostly work, family, those types of things. Now, wouldn't it make sense to have another 15 years at the end of it so that you can have fun and learn? So this symmetry. And we'll get back to this symmetry years later in the presentation. The other thing had to do with the Cleveland Browns. So I grew up in Ohio as a youth, and everybody loved the Browns. They were the team for Ohio at that time. And the big guy was Jimmy Brown. He was my hero. Everybody loved Jimmy Brown. Well, what Jimmy Brown did is he shocked the world. At age 29, after leading the league perennially in rushing and setting all kinds of records, he decided to stop. And he stopped at the top. He was the best there ever was at that time, and he went on to something else. So at the time, I wasn't really happy about him retiring, but as I got older, I thought, that is a smart thing to do. That, you really should retire at a time when you are valuable. You shouldn't retire when everybody wants you to retire. It should be your idea. And luckily, I had the opportunity to do that, and everybody was asking me not to retire instead of saying, good to see you go. 2 reflections from me. I'll turn it back over to Dave and Kathy now.
Retirement. And I have learned that it may not be possible. In fact, it wasn't for me. I tried to go to 70% and found I was doing more than 100%, getting paid less vacation, and just crazed. So I went back to 100% to the point that I said, okay, I'm really all in or all out, and that's what I have decided. So all in to the end. And then I kind of wondered about whether it was the loss of identity that might be frightening me. And as Mary Jo said, you had to discover that you didn't lose yourself. So listing my fears, talking to my husband about them, that was part of my process. But I wanted to know who I was before. And I had loved being wife, grandma, daughter, all of my different roles. My mother role, my volunteer role. There were so many things that I enjoyed doing. Most of the time I would feel guilty because I couldn't put enough time into those activities while I was working. So those roles weren't changed. Now they could expand and develop in ways that I had always wanted them to. So give yourself time in the silence, as Mary Jo said, in the hour after you have to rest from swimming or whenever that is, give yourself time to think about who you were before and during, but those roles that you wished you could have done more. So some will be old dreams, some will be new dreams. But everything has a season. And winter allows seeds to germinate. So my seeds were germinating. And as I decided, yes, I am definitely going to retire, I wrote a letter to my patients, my students, the faculty members, and sort of outlined the reasons why I believed this was the time for me to go. That was very helpful to me. And I think it was, on the whole, very helpful to them. Although I must say, as Ron challenged me in the past, he said, you're going to work harder at the end than you ever worked before. And he was absolutely right. So everybody wanted to get in their requests before I left. But now you're going to have greater freedom and new choices. You can reclaim those parts of life. You can be that generative person that you want to be. You can give back different ways. There are some risks, and you definitely have to remain flexible. We have learned, certainly during COVID, as our children had to go to work and didn't have childcare, we've stepped in to provide that. At this moment, we have 3 children here in the house with us. Fortunately, one of the fathers came home from work and is taking over for this hour. But you have to be flexible. I like to bake for the neighborhoods, the shut-ins, all of those people. That became something that I also enjoyed. As a couple, we found that actually we enjoyed the time together. We've always liked the same sorts of things. We like learning, we like history, we like exploring, taking walks. We used to ski quite a bit. That's sort of behind us now, but we still like to snowshoe. We respected each other's needs for social contact. So each of us have kept touch with our groups of friends, be that by phone, letters, calling, a multitude of ways. Generally, we have a good balance in our household division, and if one person is feeling a little put upon or frayed around the edges, they're allowed to ask the other one for help, and that we always come through with that. We take the opportunity to enrich our relationship. We have wonderful talks as we do our daily walks, which could be up to 5 miles. We talk about visions of what we want to do, maybe in the next months, the next years. This is also a time to, if you have parents, connect with them. If they're gone, at least stay close with your siblings. We definitely do more of that than we did while we worked. And they're another source of support for us. I think my sister, who was younger, retired a few years before I did, and she motivated me to start thinking about it. And now my younger brother is starting to think about it too. taking call at age 65 is not what he wants to do. But I would say one very important lesson that we learned is that we're a better team now than we have ever been before. So talk with your children about their expectations and needs. Work that out, negotiate. As I said, we have one of the dads here covering for us now. Make sure that you make time for the things that are going to bring you joy, gratitude. That is going to lead to your happiness. If there's a chronic illness, we don't dwell on it. We let it be something that is known, but what can we do, not what can't we do? We focus on the positive. And the gratitude is something we talk about. I'm thankful for him, he's thankful for me, we're thankful for the life we've had. It couldn't be better. Now, for those living alone, you have a little bit more burden to reach out to other people. One good thing is you may not have as many obligations, but you do need the social contact. And I have reached out to some of my friends who are alone and encouraged them to reach back to me. They are going to have to make some effort, and I think most of them have learned that over the COVID, if not before. You have a picture here of Christine, who was 95 at the time. This is my brother's mother-in-law. She unfortunately is deceased now. She lived to 101, but here she is dancing with my husband, David. And the same year, she was always doing things with the grandchildren. And her granddaughter, the oldest one, is rather creative and wanted to make a video and put it online of Grandma got run over by the reindeer. And they would all sing the song and Christine would act it out. It was hysterical. She had a wonderful time. We all had a wonderful time watching her laugh and laugh. They put it online and it went viral. So I guess, there's all different kinds of ways that you can make things work. David's going to talk more about exercise, but it certainly can be transformative. I think altruism for others is something that rewards me greatly and is critical to my life. Closeness and being in love with your partner, strong family and community connections, and that network of friends from maybe high school to the present. Learning and growing. Never stop learning and growing every single day.
I wanted to put a plug in a bit more on this conversation about exercise because it's been transformative for me. I retired at 68, partially because I like Ron, had planned things out that I would want to leave when people would ask me, why are you leaving, instead of when are you leaving? But I also developed a chronic illness, Parkinson's disease, and I was concerned that I didn't know how many good years I had to look forward to of being able to be active. Well, it's been wonderful. And the critical component of that was beginning and maintaining a very active physical activity program, working out with a trainer for an hour, 3 days a week, and walking with my dear wife 3 to 5 miles daily. It's been great. So the benefits of exercise are clear. Maintaining healthy weight, it boosts your mood and energy levels, improves quality of life, improves functional capacity and independence, improves quality of sleep and stress relief, assists in the prevention and management of a variety of lifestyle-related diseases, increases muscular endurance, which is a big deal because falls are a major problem as you get older, and having muscular strength and coordination are important. Increase your aerobic and functional capacity to complete daily tasks. It also increases longevity. A study of Taiwanese citizens in 1996 and 2008, a comparison period of time, found that those who participated in regular exercise, on average of 92 minutes a week or 15 minutes a day, were about 14% less likely to die for any reason over the next 8 years, compared to the couch potatoes in that group. And they lived about 3 years longer on average. The research showed that every additional 15 minutes of daily exercise cut their chances of dying from any cause by another 4%. This applied to all age groups and both sexes, as well as those who have heart problems. So exercise is a major opportunity to live a healthy lifestyle in retirement, and I want to endorse that strongly for you.
And don't worry if you haven't started much until you retire. It's not too late. Start as soon as you can. So in summary, we'd say physical activity, emotional life, especially the expression of gratitude, your spiritual life, I think is important to develop. It's been very, very important to me. Creativity or innovation, and there's all kinds of ways to do that, whether it be with your grandchildren, with how you're helping in the community, just a variety of ways. They make up the whole you. So PESCY is a way to kind of remind yourself of those things. Now, giving back, you are always wanted, so don't ever believe there's nothing for you to volunteer. I think you do have to be somewhat selective, because as soon as people know that you're willing to help out, be that with teaching or childcare or community service, whatever it is, they'll probably want more. So just kind of pace yourself and figure, okay, when you're getting too much out there, then just kind of pull it back in a little bit. But I think in the beginning, it's important to try a lot of different things. So I spent time teaching. I spent time with shut-ins, baking for them and writing to them and going to their homes and talking outside the doors. The church, the school, just many different kinds of nonprofit boards will want your help. Online volunteering to help children learn. And then there's our philanthropy, even to our favorite university. Lots of possibilities. George Vaillant was a psychiatrist who had a large study of college graduates from the 1940s on. For decades and decades and decades, he followed people. And he wrote in 2002 the 10 items that he believed were most associated with their success and happiness as they aged. Regular exercise, as David mentioned, no smoking, moderate alcohol use, seeking and maintaining positive relationships, interest in the well-being of others, having a good sense of humor. This is really important. Laughing at the things, if things spill on the floor when the kids are here, we just laugh and throw down the paper towels and, it's going to be all right. Intellectual curiosity, we're both reading different kinds of books and online articles. We have a course through the great courses on the cathedrals of Europe, which we love right now, but there's always things standing in line to teach and learn. Graceful acceptance of our limitations. We can't ski anymore, but it's okay. We will live with that. Appreciating the past, but living in the present. As the old saying goes, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is the present, and that's why it's a gift. So focus on the good things and the good people. Focus in the present, be mindful. Ron?
Yes, thank you. So this author speaks of retirement being a discovery of beauty for me. I never had the time before to notice the beauty of my grandkids, my wife, the tree outside my very own front door, and the beauty of time itself. So I'm now 3 years into retirement, and the next 2 slides, I just wanted to show you two sources of great joy in my life. There it is. So this is just a rose from my hummingbird and butterfly garden, and it brings me immense pleasure. And it's a time to really reflect and just do appreciate the beauty in life. Now, the next slide, this was nothing I planned or worked on all summer. This was a little stray cat, Scraggly, as a matter of fact, who wanted me to adopt him for weeks. I kept telling him, no, we can't do this. We have plans to travel, work visiting family and friends. We cannot possibly take you in. Well, of course, I've had him now for a year, and he is a real joy. He starts every day just purring and exuberant about, as soon as he wakes up in the morning, about starting his day. And it's a lesson for me to also appreciate each moment.
So this slide is from Atul Gawande, who is he is a surgeon, and he's done most of the cancer surgery. He works in Boston at one of the Harvard hospitals there. And he is a great author. He's written lots of articles. He used to write for the New Yorker, and he's also written a number of novels. This was on being mortal. He was very interested in what his patients did as they decline, as they aged. So he met with lots of people who dealt with people who were in the last throes of their lives, going through terrible illnesses, also people who were very healthy at this time, and the caregivers that took care of them. And these are some of the things that he learned that are in this book, and I would recommend this book to anybody. One is your goal should be to maintain your personal independence as long as possible. You have to acknowledge that change is coming. Giving up skiing is just one of the things that you're going to have to give up as you go along. And you are going to have some declines as you age. But to focus on what you have and not what you have lost, to continually craft your life as a life worth living. When you focus on the here and now, as well as everyday pleasures, happiness follows. One of the other things that he said is that the ultimate goal is not to have a good death, but to have a good life. So 5 key steps to prepare for retirement. Developing your financial plan. We talked a lot about the importance of this. The earlier you can start, the better off it is, but it's never too late to do this. Make a list of your fears and questions, the things that worry you about retirement. Think about your future and outline, if I retire, what will my day look like? How will I spend my day? Share these thoughts and ideas and questions with your spouse, partner, friends, trusted advisors, people who have already gone through retirement, and those that are like you, looking forward or looking worried about retirement. Be willing to include needs and wishes of others. Next slide. So this is again about that symmetry to life. This is from the Merrill Lynch article, Leisure and Retirement, and they have something they call the freedom zone. So as you can see by this chart, emotional well-being continues to go up. Free time goes up during this time. Fun goes up during this time. And health remains pretty stable, although there is a slow decline through these years. Next slide. So this freedom zone is at 61 to 75 years. Interesting enough, this turned out to be 15 years also. Oftentimes, when we're enjoying these years, we choose experiences over things. Generally, people are happier, more contented, more relaxed, less anxious, and you experience more fun during leisure time. Even if you didn't think you were under pressure at work, once you become in this freedom zone, all of a sudden you change in some way. And then you can look back on it and say, yeah, there was a lot of pressure at that time. I was feeling a lot of stress. Family leisure sometimes takes precedent over other forms of leisure for people. A lot more time together with family that you haven't had the time with before. You do have the opportunity for leisure, more time, fewer constraints from work, and you tend to have the opportunity to remain engaged through these years. Next slide, please. So the next two slides have to do with what are people seeking in their everyday leisure activities and also in special leisure activities. As you can see, these are everyday activities right up there on top of staying healthy, improving health, being relaxed, being with your family, having fun. The second slide here is those special occasions. This is sort of your vacation during retirement. This is just the opposite of the last slide. You are entertaining peak experiences, adventures, fun. You're still doing a lot of these other things, even in these special occasion leisure activities, but you still have the opportunity to do things that you may have never done before in your life. So, in conclusion, retirement is a journey and not an event. That you have to be open to change and adventure. Expect surprises. Be patient. Be grateful. So here's the four of us here, and Captain Dave Bronson took this picture before we boarded his boat for a day out on the lake. And you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. And this is a wonderful opportunity that hopefully all of us will have to do someday. Thank you.
At this time, please use the chat box for any questions you may have for our presenters. Are there any last comments from the presenters?
Okay.
All right. In that case, I want to thank everyone. Yes, go ahead, please.
I was often asked early in retirement how my life was different. And I stayed engaged in my professional activities for the first 3 years of my retirement to work with the national organization, Joint Commission, and the American College of Physicians. That allowed me to taper down a bit of my experiences and maintain professional relationships that I've had for some as long as 40 or 50 years. And that was a good way to transition for me. And I recommend staying engaged in some way, but avoiding full-time work for sure.
Well, I have a comment to make. When I was still working, I would often ask people what they thought of retirement. And I would say I got a range of things. One was another fairly high-ranking physician who said, the first 6 months I sat home and watched TV in my pajamas. And I said, how depressing. And I think that worried me. So whenever anybody said, oh, I love it, and I'm having such a great time, I didn't believe them. But what I found was those things that we presented today, those points of gratitude, activities, exercise, giving back to others, those are the things that truly make those people say they were happy, and they were happy. And I do believe them now because that's how I feel. But I think if you're scared, you have to know that there's a way through the fear, and there's a way through the anxiety, and you're going to be great on the other side.
I would add that I talked to a lot of high-ranking professionals who have retired after 65, and they frequently say, if I'd known it was just going to be this much fun, I would have done it 5 years earlier. So take advantage of your time in your life. You only have so much life to live. Live it fully.
Is there a question there?
There was a question that came through the chat box. This is Samantha. I'll go ahead and read it. There was a question that asked if you were ever worried about health and insurance.
Well,
maybe health insurance.
Fortunately, we all four of us work for institutions and retired with a combination of Medicare and retirement health care from our employers. I personally was worried about health because I had Parkinson's and I didn't know what would happen. And one of the good things that came out of this is I've really found that exercise helps dramatically, and it helped me dramatically, and it helps many very significantly. And so being fully active and pushing yourself to the point that I work up a pretty good sweat 3 mornings a week for an hour, doing vigorous exercise has been wonderful.
I might add,
it made a difference for me.
I might add one other thing, that some people advise that around retirement that you have a very thorough health assessment by your physician, because, and through work you might have ignored some things or you're not aware of some health status changes. So that's a good idea, to get a really good baseline and start working closely with your physician for any problems or areas of vulnerability that are identified.
Absolutely.
Thea, I don't see any more questions that are coming in, so if you want to go ahead and wrap this up.
All right, I'm very happy to. I want to thank all of the participants and the attendees, and especially the presenters. Thank you so much for attending today. On behalf of our College of Medicine and Life Sciences and the University of Toledo Retirees Association affiliates, thank you again for attending today's webinar. A special thank you goes to our 4 presenters, Drs. Franco Bronson, McGinnis, Tamburino, and Bronson, for today's wonderful discussion. If you're not a member, we encourage you to join our Alumni Association by visiting our alumni website. As a friendly reminder, this event is being recorded and will be available to you on demand in a few days. Thank you all so much for attending, and go Rockets!